Welcome in, everybody, to this deep dives. We're really going deep this time into a case that has fascinated so many for so long, the murder of Vanessa Mintz.
Yeah.
We're really digging into it all, the court documents, the investigative reports, personal accounts, trying to really piece together this story. And
Mhm.
this one takes us to the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina,
Wow.
a place called the Saluda Mountain Lodge. And when you think Blue Ridge Mountains, you think
Yeah.
peaceful retreat, right?
Yeah.
Um, but that's where Vanessa's life tragically ended back in 2011.
Mm.
And the truth is way more complicated than it first seems.
It's always interesting, when you look at a case like this where it really draws you in, you've got this beautiful setting, this idyllic location, and then as you learn more, it's like peeling back those layers of an onion, right? And things start to get really dark. You start to see all those little cracks, those subtle cracks in what seemed like a perfect life.
And you really wonder how those cracks can go unnoticed for so long.
Exactly.
So let's start with Vanessa Mintz.
Right?
She was so much more than just a victim in this story.
Absolutely.
She was loved by her community.
Mhm.
She had a successful business. She was a dedicated mother. She mentored young girls.
Vanessa was really a pillar of her community, and she had a strong faith, too, which was instilled in her from a young age.
Oh, yeah.
Growing up as the only child of a Baptist preacher, it really shaped her values. And, despite going through some tough times, like 2 failed marriages,
Wow.
she never let that get her down. She always bounced back, building a good life for herself and for her daughters.
Her daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to even imagine what they must have gone through.
I know, it's just heartbreaking. And tragically, they were the ones who found her.
Oh, no.
It was Vanessa's daughter, Jessica, who discovered her mother's body
Oh, wow.
at the Saluda Mountain Lodge, where Vanessa had been working the night shift.
So take us back to that night. To the crime scene itself, what did investigators find when they arrived?
It was a really strange scene, to be honest. There were these mixed clues that didn't seem to add up right away.
Okay.
There wasn't any sign of forced entry. But when they looked closer, the cash drawer was empty.
Okay.
They found Vanessa's shoes out of place, and near her body, they found a single shotgun shell.
Okay.
Vanessa had been shot twice,
Oh, my gosh.
once in the face and once in the forearm.
That's chilling.
Oh,
Just the thought of those wounds, it seems so personal,
yeah.
almost targeted,
Right.
Did the investigators think it was a robbery gone wrong right away? Or were there other theories?
They were looking at everything. You got to consider all angles.
Yeah.
So, of course, robbery was on the table, but also, personal vendetta, maybe a disgruntled employee. It wasn't a high crime area.
Right.
So this case really shocked the whole community.
It sounds like there were a lot of layers to this case from the beginning. Was there a specific clue that pointed investigators in a new direction?
There was one clue that changed everything.
Okay.
That single shotgun shell
Right.
that they found at the crime scene.
Yeah.
Turned out it could be traced back to Vanessa's husband,
Her husband.
Travis McGraw.
Wow. So that discovery, did that immediately make him a suspect?
It was a huge development, but investigators needed to be careful,
Of course.
They had to understand the whole context of their relationship. I mean, after all, they had eloped just a couple of years earlier.
Right.
And everyone thought they were a happy couple.
You keep saying everyone thought.
Yeah.
It seems like maybe there was more to their relationship than people knew.
Right.
What did investigators uncover?
Well, they started digging, and some pretty unsettling details came to light.
Like what?
Turns out Travis, he was a police officer
Okay.
and an Air Force reservist.
Right.
Well, he was having serious money problems,
Oh.
and he'd been hiding them from Vanessa.
Oh, wow.
And their relationship, when they were alone behind closed doors. Yeah.
It wasn't as perfect as it seemed. People started talking about tension arguments between them.
So a seemingly happy marriage,
Yeah.
but underneath you have financial problems, maybe some cracks in the relationship. Did that make Travis the main suspect at that point?
Well, it definitely raised some serious questions.
Yeah.
Put him in the spotlight. And, small town,
Right.
word travels fast.
Okay.
Everyone was speculating.
Oh, yeah.
But to move forward, investigators needed solid evidence.
All right.
And that's when another bombshell dropped.
Okay, I gotta know. What was it?
They found evidence that Travis was having an affair.
Wow. Okay. So that adds a whole other layer.
It does.
A possible motive.
Right.
It's like you said earlier.
Yeah.
Peeling back layers of an onion.
Exactly.
Each one reveals something more disturbing than the last. It's not just about who did it anymore.
Right.
It's about these dark complexities
Yeah.
in human relationships.
You start to think, Do we ever really know the people closest to us?
It's a scary thought.
It is.
Yeah.
Even the people we think we love and trust.
So what about Travis? What was he thinking during all of this? He must have known about that shotgun shell.
Yeah.
Did he confess? Or try to explain things away?
He said he was innocent.
Yeah.
Denied everything.
Wow.
And that set the stage for a trial that would capture national attention.
Okay, so that's where we'll pick up in part 2. We'll look at that trial, the evidence, the arguments from both sides.
It'd be fascinating.
And how justice was sought for Vanessa Mintz.
So we left off with Travis maintaining his innocence.
Yeah.
And that, of course, led to this high-profile trial that really gripped the whole community and beyond. It was a real roller coaster with the prosecution and defense, battling it out in the courtroom.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating how they both used the same pieces of evidence,
Right.
but to paint completely different pictures of what happened that night.
Yeah, that's what's so interesting about trials, right? It's all about interpretation. It's exactly
How you spin things, how you present them.
It's a story.
This trial was everywhere.
Yeah.
All over the news. Everyone wanted to know the truth. So what was the prosecution's main argument?
Well, they focused on Travis's hidden life.
Okay.
The money problems, the affair.
Right.
And of course, that shotgun shell.
Yeah.
They argued that this was a man who was desperate
Okay.
to escape his life, willing to do anything,
Right.
even kill his wife to start over.
That's a pretty powerful motive.
Yeah.
Wanting a new life. But it's hard to prove right.
It is.
Did they have any witnesses
They did.
who could back up their claims? Talk about Travis's behavior.
Yeah, witness testimony was key in this case.
Good.
The prosecution brought in people who had seen the tension between Travis and Vanessa.
Okay.
Some had even witnessed arguments.
Wow.
And of course, some knew about the affair and his financial struggles.
It seems like they were trying to build a case
Yeah.
based on circumstantial evidence. But what about the defense? How did they respond?
The defense had a tough job.
I bet.
They argued that just because Travis had secrets
Yeah.
didn't automatically make him a killer.
Right.
They downplayed his financial issues,
Okay.
said they weren't as serious as the prosecution claimed.
Okay.
And as for the affair,
Yeah.
they said it didn't necessarily mean he wanted Vanessa dead.
Right.
Did they suggest any other theories?
Did they have any other possible explanations?
They tried to suggest it was a robbery gone wrong,
Okay.
pointed to the missing cash from the lodge. They even suggested someone might have had a grudge against Vanessa
Okay.
and that Travis was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
So a victim of circumstance. Did they have any leads, though?
Not really.
Any other suspects to point to?
No strong ones.
It's just fascinating to see both sides trying to convince the jury
Yeah.
of their version of events.
Yeah.
What was the atmosphere like in the courtroom? I mean, this case was huge, right?
It was. The courtroom was packed. Reporters' cameras everywhere.
Intense.
It was. Everyone was waiting to see what the jury would decide.
I can only imagine how tense it must have been waiting for the verdict.
After days of deliberating, the jury came back with their decision.
Yeah.
Guilty
Wow.
of first-degree murder.
So he was convicted.
Yes. Travis McGraw was sentenced to life in prison.
Wow. No parole.
No possibility of parole.
That must have been such a relief for Vanessa's loved ones.
It was a long and painful journey seeking justice for Vanessa.
Especially for her daughters.
Yeah, Jessica and Andrea.
I mean, losing their mother in such a horrific way.
Right.
Then having to relive it all during the investigation and the trial.
It's unimaginable.
It's really incredible how they found the strength to get through that.
They did. And they were determined to keep their mother's memory alive.
Yeah, they became such powerful advocates.
They did.
What kind of advocacy work did they do?
They focused on raising awareness about domestic violence,
Yeah.
pushing for stricter laws,
Right.
support systems for victims,
Amazing.
and they also shared Vanessa's story, making sure people remembered the vibrant woman she was.
That's so powerful. Taking their grief and turning it into action.
It really is.
Ensuring that Vanessa's legacy lives on.
Exactly. And as we start to wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
it's important to remember that even though this is a dark case,
Right.
there's also a message of resilience and hope.
You see it in Vanessa's daughters.
Exactly.
In the community.
Mm-hmm.
And in the fact that justice ultimately prevailed.
It does. Before I move on to our final thoughts,
Sure.
I'm curious to hear more about how this case affected the community.
Yeah.
Saluda, it was always seen as the safe, peaceful town.
Right.
Did it change how people viewed their town?
I think you really did. It's like you said, that feeling that darkness can be anywhere,
Right.
even in a place like this.
Yeah.
And people started to question everything.
Right.
Like, do I really know my neighbors?
Yeah. Do we really know anyone?
It makes you wonder, did this case lead to any positive changes, though, in the community?
It did. It definitely sparked a lot of conversations about domestic violence, those hidden signs of abuse,
Right.
and the importance of speaking up, getting help.
Absolutely.
The community really came together to provide support for victims. They started educating people on these issues.
That's good to hear. It's like Vanessa's legacy and her daughter's advocacy. Yeah.
Helped turn this tragedy into something positive.
Absolutely. It shows how resilient people can be.
It does.
So we've covered a lot in this deep dive.
We have.
We started in this idyllic setting,
Right.
then uncovered all these secrets and lies.
Yeah.
This fight for justice
Yeah.
really makes you think.
It does. Cases like this make you really examine your own life, your own relationships.
Right?
Like, how well do we really know the people we're closest to?
Yeah.
Are we paying attention to those subtle signs that something might be wrong?
It reminds us that communication is so important
It is.
and that we shouldn't be afraid to ask those tough questions.
Absolutely.
Or to get help if we need it. Sometimes just being there for someone, just listening to them, can make all the difference.
That's a really important takeaway from all of this.
We can't bring Vanessa back,
Yeah.
but we can learn from this
We can.
and be more aware,
Yes.
more supportive.
Or vigilant.
Yeah.
In our own lives and in our communities.
So to everyone listening,
Yeah.
we hope you found this deep dive into the Vanessa Mintz case informative and thought-provoking.
It's been a journey.
Remember, knowledge is power.
It is.
And sometimes those most valuable lessons
Yeah.
come from the most unexpected places.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.